I met Mark June 6, 2009, simply by chance through a series of events that fell through and a phone call from a friend who needed a ride to a summer pool party. Little did I know that day would spark the beginning of a crazy journey and the start of a relationship with the man I now call husband. On October 17th, 2014, we were married. Throughout our relationship, and especially into our first year of marriage, I began longing for a more intimate relationship with God and wanted to start going back to church. I knew Mark had been burned by his past experiences with the church and understood his reservations about going back. I began praying about it and praying for him. I asked God to touch his heart and bring him back to the church. I asked God for a way to move him closer to Christ. Then one day, everything fell apart. It was December 10th, 2015. We were on our way back from a Christmas party, and there in the Shell parking lot, pumping gas on a cold, frigid night, I got a message on my phone that changed everything. My husband had had an affair, and this day the truth came out. That was the day my entire world fell apart. I felt like everything had stopped abruptly, and I was still left spinning. He didn't deny it. The proof was there, pictures and all. How could he?
It was Saturday night, December 12th. We had just crawled into bed, and it was about 9 o'clock, and laying there in the middle of another discussion about what had happened and what we needed to do or how to fix things. So as we're laying there talking, my phone buzzed. So I picked it up, looked at it, and it was a text message from my brother Jeff, who lives in Massachusetts. He was in an ambulance on the way to the hospital. He was having chest pains, couldn't catch his breath, blood pressure was up. Crystal and I decided to pray. And as we got ready to start to pray, my phone started buzzing again, so I thought it was Jeff, so I leaned over to answer my phone. It was my son, Tyler, who had taken off that morning to drive to Arkansas for a couple weeks for Christmas. And it was his first trip alone down to Arkansas to visit his mother. As I answered the phone, I figured it was Tyler just telling me that he had made it okay and everything was all right. As I answered the phone, the first words out of Tyler's mouth was, "I no longer have a truck." And, I'm laying there in the dark, 700 miles away from him, no idea what's going on. He proceeds to tell me that he hit a tire in the middle of the road and his truck went off the road and it rolled and it hit several trees, and he was in pain and he couldn't figure out why he was wet, and it was dark and he couldn't figure out where he was. So at that point, I had him get off the phone and call 911. We spent the rest of the evening waiting for messages from Jeff, messages from Tyler, scared. Luckily, at the end of the night, Jeff was okay, Tyler was okay, just some bruises and some scratches. I'm laying there in bed, and I looked at Crystal and I told her, I said, "We need to go to church. It's time for me to stop running from God. I need to figure this out." So at that point, we decided we were going to church the next morning.
Our first date, Fairborn United Methodist, we had some reservations. I explained to him that my son had autism, and we were very familiar at this point with having to explain to people that he doesn't always act or behave the way he should. And Aaron was very good about reassuring us that he would fit in well and he would be fine, and they were working on a special needs ministry at this church. That kind of blew me away. It was the first time that we had ever been openly accepted at a church without people kind of looking at us. Megan was giving the sermon on overcoming obstacles and venturing into the unknown. That really touched our hearts and it spoke to us because it was exactly what we were doing. We were venturing into unknown territory with the affair and everything that shook our marriage. We didn't know what to expect, so it really did touch us.
We began our journey of healing through Christ. And time again, even when it seemed all hope was lost, God continued to draw us closer to Him. Through specific people He brought into our lives that would later change our hearts and speak to our bruised and battered souls. We found healing in the service of others, purpose through ministries, and hope and renewal in God. We were set to renew our vows on November 17th, but as some of you may know, Crystal took a little bit of a tumble from her horse and we had to move it back to December. We have decided on this vow renewal to establish a new marriage covenant under God as husband and wife, something unfortunately we failed to do before. Our trip forward is one that will be guided completely by what is God's will. It is through this church and the ministries it supports, and through the awesome and mighty power of God that we have found hope. We hope to continue to help others find hope through our story of how God saved our marriage and brought us back home.